Okay, we're gonna look at the New York Giants. This is a team that obviously has they have their team in a rebuilding phase, mixed with some young guys that can, and I think have the ability of being effective for their teams. I definitely believe this is a team that can, with time, definitely get um, the chemistry up, and they can be a really good team in the future. This year, though, when I'm looking at it, it just looks like it can be a little bit rough. Their schedule is really not easy, and their team is just not experienced enough to even put up some crazy numbers against these teams. So, the Giants, though, last year were 6-11. They were 4-4 at home. They were 2-7 away. 3-3 division. 266 that they points for. They allowed 407 points, so their defense was not great. You're looking at they were 31st in passing yards with 169.8. Daniel Jones went down. They had Danny DeVito. They had Tommy DeVito there playing. You know, he was okay, but again, the QB was a huge issue last year. It can be this year. 16th in rushing, 110.2 rushing yards a game. It helps when they had Saquon. They don't have Saquon now, so how does that change their entire game plan? 30th in points for. They scored 15.6 points a game. I mean, that's terrible. And then 26 in points against. They allowed 23.9 points per game, which is one of the highest in the league. I mean, it's something else. It's not great. So both sides of the ball was horrendous. They definitely did have injuries. They definitely did have no establishment of who's going to lead who, and that's kind of their problem. It's kind of an issue. And can the Giants step up and do what they need to do in order to become relevant again and into the postseason? They were just in the postseason with the Vikings, I believe, 2 years ago. So can they get back to that? And what is it going to take for them to get back to that as a whole? At the roster, first have to look at their offense. Another team, three wide receiver, one tight end set. Um, Over their offensive line, the left tackle Andrew Thomas. He's got some upside. I believe he did give up a lot of sacks. I think he drew a lot of penalties, so he needs to diminish all that. But does he still have the capabilities of being a good left tackle in this league? Yeah, absolutely. Again, he's young, so they're going to build him up, and I do believe that he can, and I do believe he will be a better left tackle for this team. At left guard, they got the veteran in a way. I mean, a veteran in terms of he's played some really important games with the Packers. He's got some upside. It's John Runyon. I believe that was a great pickup for him. They needed to do what they needed to do, which was protect the QB, and if they wanted a better running game, they got to get some beef up front. They did that with John Runyon. He's a pretty solid guard. So overall, looking pretty good for him. At the center, Schmitz Jr. He's young. They drafted him, I believe, a year or two ago. He's got upside. He's got the ability of being pretty impactful. Again, they're going to have him step up and continuously progress in his position, which I believe they will. Right guard, they signed Greg Van Roten, who's honorable mention for right guard. So good for them. That's a great signing for them for their offensive line. It's looking like a good thing with their offensive line. It's definitely um, a team that's getting better because of the moves they're making. And then right tackle, Illuminor. He's a veteran. Nothing much more to say. I mean, he's okay. I think they could definitely use a solid right tackle. Illuminor should be there for a little bit. I don't think he's the answer. I think they can get a better right tackle. But again, for this year, that's where he's at. QB, Daniel Jones. So they're still sticking with him. They gave him a large contract, so they should stick with him. Is he the answer? No, I don't think he's the answer. But at the same time, he's still got the same storylines as an Eli Manning. So, um, can he pull through for this team and get him to the playoffs? Can he be another Eli Manning, pull through a great playoff run, maybe a Super Bowl? I mean, we're just focused on this year, but Daniel Jones doesn't seem to be the answer. His receivers, though, definitely. are going to make him feel like he can be the answer. They got Malik Neighbors, who's a great draft pick. I mean, solid all around. Definitely going to be a possibility of being a top 10 wide receiver at the end of this. Like he's got a lot of tools to make him effective, make him dangerous. Wendell Robinson, he's got upside, he's sneaky. Definitely not a lot of people talk about him. Super fast, strong. So I believe that's a great thing. And then Darius Slayton at the third wide receiver. He just needs to step up. His numbers are just not that great. But again, Daniel Jones, will he be able to throw it to him, or is he just going to fumble the bag like he always does? Overall, Darius Slayton can be really good at the receiver position. And lastly, with the running back, Devin Singletary, they replaced him from Saquon, lose going to Philly. Had to get someone. They got Devin Singletary, who played for the Texans and the Bills. He's got upside definitely. When they use him in the run game, he's effective. So will they use him in the run game? I really hope they do. He really is a pretty vital piece, I believe, to this team's success. I believe he'll be great. Um, yeah, moving on to the defense, they got a 3-4 base. Um, Brian Burns, who's ranked number 4 as an outside linebacker, will be a D end. They got him from Carolina with a trade. Great, great thing for them to do for New York to get Brian Burns. The caliber of what he's able to do on a any given Sunday, I think, is exceptional. So absolutely great signing for him. At the D tackle position, you got Dexter Lawrence, who's number 9 in the D tackle list for top 10. He's great, run stuffer. Um, yeah, run stuffer and really agile for a big dude. So that's huge for him. The other DN is going to be veteran Nunez Roches, which I think is going to be okay. He's a veteran. He really doesn't do much, but he's gonna be good. He's a good leader type guy. You look at the linebackers. You're going to have OG Ojulari or Aziz Ojulari, upside, unproven, young guy. I mean, that's pretty much the theme of this team. At the left inside, they're going to have Okriki, who was number 9 inside linebacker in the top 10 list. He's going to be great. I think that he's going to be very impactful for him. Like always, going to ball out. On the other side, the right inside, they got Michael McFadden, another young guy who's unproven, can be really good. Definitely like that duo. I believe that could work out for him. And then lastly, Thibodeau, who's honorable mention on the outside linebacker list. He's looking like a guy. He's going to have a great season. I think he's going to explode this year. I think he could be a top 10 guy for sure. But this linebacker core is really nice, very sticky. When you look at the secondary, you're going to have cornerback Cordell Flott, upside, young, unproven, hungry to be better. On the other side, you got Deontay Banks, another guy that's got upside, another guy that's young. It's just a really young defense. With Phillips, which was a draft pick in the later rounds, I think he could be exceptional, and I think he can do his thing. We'll see how he does in the regular season of the NFL. Obviously, they have a Dory Jackson back, so where will they use him? Will they use him? That's always great news. I think having a veteran corner with all these young corners is going to be very good for them. Um, at the free safety, you got Pinnock, who's young, upside, has a lot of potential, has had a great past year. So, I mean, you got to give him some credit. Definitely can be a very influential part of the defense, can be a leader. So, and he's young. And then you got Belton, who's also young and has upside. So, secondary as a whole, super young. Super has a lot of positives to him. They just got to work on their craft. Their kickers, Graham Gunnell, he's been here for years. He been a kicker for multiple teams. Jamie Gillen's the punter, and kick returner is going to be Olszewski, who I think was pretty good, man. Not bad, pretty elusive, bounces off some tackles. I mean, can be a great returner. Overall, though, this is a really good team in terms of like the youth development. I think they're going to be extraordinary in the next 2 to 3 seasons if they all work on their craft to get better. This could be a really fun, entertaining team. They just need all of these guys to work together. This is a test for them, especially in their NFL growth. So overall, though, definitely super excited for watching this depth chart and seeing what they're able to do with a super tough schedule. So we look at the Giants' schedule overall this year. It's hard, man. It's a tough schedule for them. I don't know um, how they're really gonna become super consistent. Just the fact that they're young, I think the experience is going to be great for them for the future. I think them as a whole will grow with the schedule because they're facing some of the best teams in the NFL. So I mean, there's that is the positive. The negative is that they're not going to be a playoff team. They're not going to be a team that people are going to look at in the schedule and circle their name and be like, that's a team that we have to worry about. That's where I'm at. That's where they're at. When you look at the Green Arrows, those are the wins. And you look at it right now, they're going to lose to Minnesota. I know JJ McCarthy's out for the year. I just believe Minnesota just has a more solidified roster, so they'll definitely lose that game. They'll beat the Commanders in Washington. Then they'll go play Cleveland, lose to Cleveland in Cleveland. Then they'll play the Cowboys in New York. The Cowboys will win that. They'll travel to Seattle, play Seattle Seahawks. They'll lose to the Seahawks. The Seahawks are just loud, and the Giants never have any sort of luck with the Seattle Seahawks at all. You go to the Bengals. I think they're going to have a super huge upset there. They're playing in New York. They're playing at MetLife. I do believe they can win this game. They'll squeak it out. I believe they'll squeak it out. Then they go play the Philadelphia Eagles in New York. Lose to that because it's the Eagles. They're just the Eagles. Go to Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, that's a loss. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the whole crowd. It's the way that they've had their whole roster change. The Giants are not ready for that. Then they'll go play Washington in New York. They'll lose. They'll beat the Washington Commanders twice this year. I just believe they're just a better team than Washington, even though Washington has definitely upgraded their roster. Um, Go and play the Panthers, and I do believe that will be unfortunate, but they'll lose to the Panthers. I think the Panthers will get that one. I think they just got better upside. Have the bye week, lose to the Bucks because Tampa Bay is better. They'll go to Dallas. They'll definitely lose to Dallas. The Cowboys own the Giants almost every year. Then they'll go play the Saints in New York, lose to the Saints, lose to the Ravens. Then they'll go travel to Atlanta, definitely lose to Atlanta, play the Colts in New York. I think they'll squeak that one by. I think they definitely will get that win. And then they go to Philadelphia, and that's where they lose to close out the year. So their record is going to be 4-13. Again, it's not a terrible team. I just think Daniel Jones as the quarterback is not the answer. I also just believe that their team is just too inexperienced, too young for them to make a splash run at, you know, a playoff run to more than 6 wins. Like I just don't see it. It will be a down year, but also with some upside. So overall, this is a team 4-13. That's the record I give them, and hopefully they can prove me wrong. But honestly, the schedule is very hard for this team, and they're not going to do much.